Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there? Monday, June 3rd, 2024, episode number 91. I'm Alex Cuesta. Partner in crime over there is Dave Hyatt. Brother, what's going on?
I'm just exhausted. I mean, there were so many meets this week. New Jersey State meets. It was just an absolute crazy weekend, and I'm all for doing it again next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's really heating up. We're having a lot of good pro meets. We're having a lot of, high schools heating up, college. Everything is starting to really come to a forefront. This is a fun time.
Hey, Sydney McLaughlin and Femke Bol have both run the 400 hurdles in the same year.
Yep. And Sid is running, and we might touch on what Kersey said when we have our guest on. We'll get his opinion what Kersey said, because I think, I haven't agreed with a lot of things that Kersey has done. I want to say I agree mostly with what he said here, but we'll get to that in a little bit. If you are watching on X, if you are watching on YouTube, hello to both. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube, smash that like button, leave us a comment. All those things help to boost us up in the algorithm, spread the word. If you're watching on X, give us a follow and go ahead and repost, retweet, whatever the hell you want to call it, X, Twitter. And go that, again, comment there. It all helps us out over there. So we have been on a hunt, Dave, to improve our YouTube subscribers and X followers. YouTube, we're up 4. We're up to 39. So thank you to everyone that jumped in and subscribed. And on X, we're up 6. We're up to 1,029. So we are steadily climbing. We're on our quest to 50 and 1,500 respectively. So thank you to everybody, and continue to subscribe, follow all that stuff, because we have the best guests in running. And I don't care what anybody says. We have the best, damn it. So last week, we had a fun show. Big Bob was on, Big Bob Andrews. He is the founder director of Gone Running, and just an overall great guy. We battled through some technical problems, but man, was it worth it? We absolutely want to have Big Bob on again at some point. And
I want to have him and Robbie on.
We want to have him and his son on, Robbie, and we can just let them argue about who's more of an epic person, because I think there's a good battle there. I don't know. I think Big Bob still has Robbie. I'm not going to lie. But we love you, Robbie. We love you.
He has that dad power, which just goes a long way.
He has that dad power. He has that chutzpah. He has a lot about him going on. So before we jump into the PRs and all that fun stuff, I want to give, again, a shout out. River Rock and Run 5K, our buddy Adam and Alvin putting it on. The race is November 16th. Go sign up. Go search for the River Rock and Run 5K. Facebook over there. You can get all the information. It's a 5K. You can run it solo. You could partner up, and each of you take, 1.5, and just go have some fun. 100% of the proceeds go to fulfill Mom at the Ocean County Food Bank. So it's going to a good cause. Have a few beers at the end. Have some good food at the end. Have some fun. But go support Alvin. They improve it every single year. It always gets better. So definitely go over there. So we're doing something different. Before we bring in the PRs, we're going to bring in our guests, because what we've been doing is we've just been having our guests hang out for a year and a day on the side as we just rattle off names. I don't want to do that anymore. So we're going to bring in our guest, and we are pumped. This is the second time that he's coming on here, and apparently we did something right, because he'll come talk to us goofballs again. But he's someone that, after we talked to him the first time, I think Dave and I just started tracking his existence. And he's doing so well. He's only been on a better trajectory since we talked to him. And I think we take a lot of credit for that.
Come on.
Because, the Talking in Ovals thing, whenever anyone comes on here, they're successful. But no, he is Eric Bolt. He is Bolt the Holt Pro, that type of stuff. I call him Eric Bolt. Eric Holt the Bolt. And he is a pro 1,500 meter runner. And
a pro 800 meter runner.
An 800 meter runner too. Empire Elite Track. What's going on, Eric?
Thank you so much for having me on. Sorry again for the technical difficulties, but figured out how to do this, how to use another phone. But thank you so much for having me on again. It's a pleasure.
Good things come to those who wait. Okay, so everyone's gonna wait for you, and we're gonna have a great show. Now, I want to let you share first. You had a big PR over this past weekend. What was your big PR, and what's going on with that?
It was great. I was lucky enough to be in the fast heat at the Music City track festival in Nashville. Well, technically it was at Middle Tennessee State University. They usually have it at Vanderbilt, but they're resurfacing the track. So this year they had at Middle Tennessee, and I got in the fast heat of the 800 and I won it with a PR 145.89. And so it didn't feel too hard either. So I think my lifetime goal of running 144 potentially at trials could come true. So we'll see. But it was a great win. And more importantly, it's going to set me up for a big showdown at the New York Grand Prix this Sunday versus the likes of Jake Whiteman, Hobbs Kessler, Abder Nur, Grant Fisher. So it's going to be a really good race this Sunday. And I'm trying to crush the Olympic standard of 3:33. So yeah, man. I mean, it was a great weekend, and more importantly, my teammates. We went 1, 2, and 3, so it was awesome.
We'll get on those guys is even better.
We'll get into Empire Elite and things going on there and the New York City Grand Prix in a little bit because we got a lot to say about all that. I think there's a lot going on, exciting stuff. I want to run through the PRs we have though because we are always lucky enough. Tom Figueroa, you never fail to come through right out of our track club. All of his athletes that are running over in the high school area. For the St. Joseph's girls, Nia Dibke continues to improve. We hear her name every single week. 400 meters, she ran a 57.99. So breaking that 58 second mark. Isabel Laporte ran us in the 1600 a 511.98, and Beatrice Perichetti ran a 1600 and 544.33. And then going over to Bridgman High School, where Clara Fast ran a 3200 and 1205.74. And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about his daughter, Elena Figueroa. She missed her PR by 0.04, but she was 6th in the state in the 16 at 452.56. Her and Shea White are going to Nike Outdoor Nationals in 2 weeks, so we're excited for them. And Dave, do you want to jump in? You'll do one, and then we'll go next.
Yeah, I mean, I just where I'm coaching at Manasquan, we had 11 competitors qualify from sectionals to the groups, led by Mia Moore, who is the high jump Central Jersey Group 2 champion. So congrats there. Looking forward to the groups this week. And, obviously some of our old guests, Westfield, sectional champ, South Brunswick, sectional champ. We got Geiger's guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll jump in. And let's pronounce it correctly this time. Andrew Tadisher. Sorry, Andrew, we've been pronouncing it terribly the whole time. 3,200 ran a 931.13, and Reese Padgett in the high jump, 4 foot 10 inches. And we're gonna go down the laundry list. Toms River North boys continue to crush it. Like Westfield guys, just dominant in wherever they go. New Jersey South Group 4 sectional champions. PRs coming your way. 400 meters. Mamadi Diawara first place in 48.09. 3,200. Greg Alcid and JC McLean. Greg ran a 10:29, JC a 10:45. 400 hurdles. Mordecai Ford took first place in 53.60. Mordecai wasn't done in the high jump. He ties his PR at 6 feet 2 inches for second place. Long jump, a freshman, Giles Hester, wins his first sectional title. Freshman, that's crazy. 22 feet 10 inches in the long jump. And Mordecai Ford comes back again, ties his PR, jumps to 22.3 for third. Then in the discus, Yanni Papanikolas, first place with a 166 feet 6 inch PR. Shot put, Justin K, 49 inch 11 foot PR. 4x100, new school and county record, 41.93, just blazing. And earlier in the week, Giles Hester had a PR in the 110s, 14.67. Shuttle hurdles did a 58.31 to break the Ocean County record, and 4x2 set a conference record in the 4x2, 127.44 conference record there. And we'd be remiss. One of our former pros, Justin Stafford, he is now 4th place in the country in hammer through a PR of 75.9 meters. That is 249 feet. So I don't think I missed anyone here.
Well,
this looked amazing, everybody.
One more thing. I just want to give a shout out to, there were 3 boys in the state of New Jersey this week who ran 10.18, 10.21, 10.22 in the 100. And for absolute ridiculous reasons, those 3, though 2 of those places did not have a win gauge. So New Jersey is not counting those records, which is the most asinine thing. Get a win gauge. How can you have it at 5 of the 8 sites? Get it everywhere. Give these kids, these kids would have beat Johan Blake this week. That's how fast that these kids are running. Johan's older, but still, like 10.18, 10.21, 10.22.
Yeah, those are insane. Woo! So we, congratulate everyone on their PRs, including you, Eric, and your teammates over at Empire Elite, because those are big as well, and they're coming at the best time, right? Because Eric, the Olympic trials are coming right up; they're right around the corner. You made a really cool decision, and I want to know what got into it, because you were qualified for the 1500. For a while now. You've had, I think indoor, I think you got the qualifying marks in indoor. So you've been kind of happy with that. And then now you have the qualifying mark in the 800 and you're going for the double. What was the decision to decide to go for the 1500 double?
Honestly, my coach and I, we were looking at the schedule. And then once we realized the 800s after finals in the 15, we're like, oh my God. Yeah. If we qualify in the 8, we got to put down a good 800 time. Because if so, why wouldn't we run the 800? And, so we made the decision right there to do it. And I remember I had a few conversations, and he thought that I could, potentially, run 144 eventually. And I know, like, a New Jersey legend, Robbie Andrews, I remember seeing him run 144.
We had his dad on last week.
Watching mid-distance running, it's like being a 144, low 330 guy. It's just like, that's just been like, the dream since I was a kid. So, I was like, oh my God, I would love to do that. So we were in, my team and I, we were in Flagstaff 5 weeks prior to this race. And if you check out Sweat Elite on YouTube, this guy, I think his name's Chris Fox or something, but he did a great job. If you go on Sweat Elite, it's one of their latest videos, Empire Elite. They show us a speed workout we do at 7,000 feet elevation. Woo. And it was brutal. It was 600 in 119, 2 400s at 50 seconds, and then another 600 at 119 at all altitude. It was brutal, but after that, I was super confident that I could run 145 and, got it done. And, now I'm officially doubling at trials, and it's so fun. I was like, wow, this is going to be great. It's been a dream of mine. Obviously the goal is to make the 15. That's my best event. But, in case if I don't make the 15, even if I do, I got the 800 to run. And, I really think I have some momentum, and, I'm just very excited for the possibility to, run an insane time in the 800. And like I said, it's my dream one day to run 144, and I think it's a possibility. So I'm 100% going to go for it. And yeah, no, it's been an exciting week, and we've been having a lot of great workouts, and got one more race for trials, and it's going to be a big one. So we're just, a coach and I, we're thinking about a lot of crazy things, but we would like to, unfortunately I'm from New York, so we're trying to get the fastest ever in New York 1500, which is Lopez Lemong at 332. Yep. But we're trying to do that. So we're trying to lay down like an insane time. We'll see. But I'm excited. So it's going to be fun next month.
The craziest part about, like, a lot of runners, it's like, untapped potential, you could do it, blah, blah, blah. And that's always the thing, right? As a runner, as a pro, you have to think that way. But you have absolutely no reason not to think that, because over the last 2 years and change, you have just been improving. And, the last time we had you on the show, which I look back, was February of 2023, which is crazy to think it was that long ago.
Yeah, it's not like yesterday.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go back, I think it's in the 20s somewhere in our episodes. We had Eric on, and if you want to hear about his journey to becoming a pro runner, we covered it all there.
Down there, yep.
But it's like, it's crazy to think that, like, you're someone that is not only like, I can do it, I know I can, you're legitimately doing it. Every time you step on the track, it's like rare. Like, it's funny because you'll be disappointed. You'll run a great time. You're like, it wasn't a PR. Like, and it's like, for you're getting so used to running PRs that it's insane to see the potential that you are still tapping into. So for someone like you, it's like, I hear someone like you going like, 144 is a dream, and I'm like, why not 143? Like, there's no reason why someone like you, you've been improving, and I think it's something that you do that a lot of individuals don't. You compete every race. Yeah, I don't see you going like, 144 is the goal. AQ for the qualifier is the goal. but you run the races that you're in, right? You compete in the races that you're in, which is very different than what we see a lot of other athletes do.
He's trying to actually win. It's it's not always about time. It's about winning.
Is that an Empire Elite mindset? Is that how you guys are wired? Like, run your races, win your races, the times will come? Because that's kind of what I've always told my athletes when I've coached them.
Absolutely. I think what makes our club very unique is we all have chips on our shoulders. And I think because our dream is to be sponsored, unfortunately, like, where a lot of us are pretty low on the money, but we all believe that we're worthy of being a sponsored team and sponsored athlete. So I go into this race and, I'm a little angry. I'm like, you know what? I might not be sponsored. We like, for instance, like the trainers I wear, the spikes I wear, I bought them myself. I went on Nike. I paid the $200 for the Nike Victory 2s. And then I went to the shoe store with the orthotics and paid like $180. That's straight out of my pocket. I don't get any of my gear for free. I have to pay for it. And that just motivates me. So when I have these opportunities, I know my coach a lot of times has to go out of pocket for the hotel, the hotel cost and everything. So it's like, listen, we're sacrificing a lot and we got to show up today. And, it's nothing against these pros, but we're going to show these pros that, hey, we might not be pros, but we're pro at heart and we're going to come out and rock and roll. So we have like a strong mantra and we don't take any meat lightly. We're very enthusiastic. We're like, come on, let's do this. Let's show the world that Empire Elite is deserving of a sponsor, that we're deserved of this attention. And, it's like, I know I'm a little bit older, but like I'm still got it. I'm getting better every year. I'm doing what I love to do. I tell myself that every single day. And, I just come out there with a lot of energy. And, I just want to like show people, because even though I do a lot of running for myself, my coach, he's the most passionate person I've ever met. John Trotman. This guy is
amazing guy.
He's a legend.
He's someone that, coach, if you watch this, you're coming. You're going to be on.
You gotta have him on. He's the Olympic scene, 92. This guy was at 14 years old. He had like all the high school records. He actually beat Jerry Liggreen's 3K high school record of 805.
Absolute monster.
John
Trotman really got good because he would like push himself like willingly, not because of coach. He's just like has that sort of energy, and he's so competitive, and I love it, and he's the type of guy who's like, I'm going to go bankrupt for you guys. We're going to like do amazing things. And, he was the first coach that had this insane belief in me, even when I didn't have the belief in myself. He was telling me I was going to run all these times that I've already ran. And then immediately when I run them, he's like, all right, now we got to run 144. Don't be satisfied with 145. Yeah. You got to run 144. Like, you're good enough. You can do it. So it's just awesome, and I think our club just has so much energy. We have so much enthusiasm, and to be honest, we train incredibly hard. I think we honestly train harder than most clubs out there. It's kind of insane.
So I have a question. Have you been given any reason why people are not signing up to sponsor you? Because we can't figure it out. Like, we have is there a reason that is given? Because it doesn't make any logical sense. You have times, you have 351, you're a NACAC champ. Like, what are they saying? Like, I just can't comprehend this.
And I'll tell you this, we always pine for you. When we talk about championships, we always throw out Empire Elite, Eric Holt. We are constantly saying that you guys are deserving. So you have two guys here in a podcast that's like, the hell.
Yeah. I mean, free gear would be incredible. But like, we're trying to do it. And I think too, it's like, I did have a situation where someone was going to offer me a sponsorship. I can't say who or what sponsor. And I remember I went out to dinner to celebrate. And then they told me, yeah, we can't give you the sponsorship or any money whatsoever. And then that was it. And it was very depressing, very sad. And instead of giving up, I allowed that moment in my life to motivate me. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I say, I'm going to run so fast that these shoe companies would be crazy not to give me a deal. And so that's been my deal. And honestly, it helps me deal with nervousness, because when I'm nervous, I get almost like angry. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's show these guys what I'm made out of. And, you know, I'm excited for these big moments. And it was really funny at Penn Relays. Like, I got third. I ran 3:51. I was close to Goose and, you know, Olivor. And I was like almost mad at myself. I was like, oh man, I could have almost beat those guys. They're the best in the world, you know. But it's moments like that that just show me if I can just, you know, I have what it takes. You know, I do have a lot of insecurities. You know, I weigh like 175, 177, and I'm like, am I too heavy for this sport? But I just tell myself, if I just do all the right things, you know, anything can happen, you know, and it's exciting.
And, you know, that's happening. And that's when you find, whenever you run that big time and all these big time sponsors come after you, that's when you find the smallest company that's willing to take a chance on you, and you tell all the big ones to kick rocks. No, I'm kidding. If it's like $1 million versus like $100K, go.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
but yeah, it would be nice if you had that option, right? To sit there and get the same deal from all these companies and just pick the most obscure one and be like, you know what? Right.
So as long as you have good spikes.
Yeah.
Yes, needs to have good spikes.
So I want to ask you, you know, looking at the 1500 for US, do you feel that you're right at the top? Do you give anyone an advantage, or do you feel like you're right there? Because I think you're right there with them. I mean, it's going to be the hardest team maybe to make in a year, just because there's so much wonderful talent.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like, you know, and like, don't count out the old guy Centrowitz either. You know, I mean, he's a proven guy who's done. He's back now running 335. So there's so many guys. Like, how do you prepare yourself going into that race, or do you just kind of do what you've been doing? And where do you feel that you fit in with that whole group of guys?
I mean, like you said, this is going to be the most competitive stacked U.S. Race in American history. It's probably going to take like a 337 low just to qualify for trials. Like, if you make trials for the 15, you're probably like at least a 354 miler or better. It's that stacked, you know, it's unbelievable. Like, and they're taking 36 guys. Like, it's kind of scary because every year, you know, the bar is raised, you know, the runners are getting better. Runners are training harder. People are understanding what it takes to get better at this sport. And honestly, the hardest part, what I'm most nervous about, is it's all about a smart race. I know if I'm going to make a team, I got to be smart. I got to be on the rail. I got to be relaxed. And my sprint, my final surge, it's got to be my final move. It's got to be very smart and at the right time. And honestly, that's what's going to determine who makes the team. If I can be relaxed up front and really charge home, I feel like I have enough speed in me to make a team. I really do. And, you know, it's tough because it's all about tactics, you know. No matter how good you are, I'm being serious. Anyone, Cole Hocker, Hobbs Kessler, De'Aaron Goose, they all could not make the team, because at the end of the day, it's more than likely going to be tactical. And no matter how good you are, if you're not in the right spot, the right time with making the move, you're probably not going to make the team. You know, there's so many good runners, and that's what's scary about the 15 is, you know, it's going to be sort of a chess game. It's going to be tactical. No one's going to want to take it out hard. I mean, it could be, theoretically, yeah, of course. It could be a really fast. Some people think it'll be a fast race, but it's incredibly unpredictable. But at the end of the day, you got to be in the right position. You got to make the move at the right time. And if you do all of that, you know, you can make a team. But like I said, there is so many favorites out there. Yeah, like you said, you got Centro. He looked really good at LA Grand Prix.
Absolutely.
There's just so many good runners to name, you know. Honestly, any of the 12 that make the final can make the team.
Yeah, I mean, you have Hobbs, you know, you have all these guys who were just, you know, like, unfortunately at LA, you know, he had to step off because he got tripped up. But I mean, it's going to be a battle, which is why I love how you're saying, yeah, I qualified in the 8, but I'm still going 15, even though the 8 might be an easier route. You're saying, I don't care. I want where it's at. That is the race that is competitive. I'm going for it. Not that the 8 isn't, But that 15, like you said, man, that is a who's who.
And honestly, I think qualifying the 8 alleviates a little bit of pressure, because if I was only in the 15, I'm like, oh my God, like my trials is over. Like I have that sliver of a safety parachute that I'm like, well, obviously I'm going to give it 110%, but I'm not going to be as freaked out because I'm like, oh man, didn't make the team. Well, all right, now all my focus on the 8. So, I mean, it's just good to know that I'm in 2 events. And, the good thing about trials is USATF is great with giving you body work, stretching you out. They have like ice baths, so it's very easy to recover for each race. And because of my work at altitude, I feel like I'm very durable. We've been doing a lot of hard workouts, so I think I'm fit enough to handle all 6 races.
So, was that part of the plan going in? Was it like, trying to see Yard at Penn Relays? Was it trying to get a chance to see guys like Hobbs and Cole at points in the season to kind of like gauge where they are in terms of like trying to strategize racing against them when it comes to USATFs and qualifiers? Or was it just kind of a, hey, we're entering these races, who's ever in there, let's mix it up?
Oh, absolutely. I don't like to get any sort of like ring rust, as they say, like boxing term, but like having racing good runners prepares you for racing good runners in the future. Yeah, so running Penn Relays, I ran LA Grand Prix. I unfortunately got swallowed up by the pack, was in lane 2 and 3. And even though I still ran 3:35, got 10th though, but that type of race,
it was like 3:34 to 3:35. You were like, if you were fraction a second, you're in 3rd. Like, so it's like, it's not like you were 10th and it's like, oh, it was 3:31 and there you are. It's like 3:34 was the winning time. It was just such a tight pack, and it was kind of like whoever went, and that was exactly what you said, the strategy. Whoever went at the right time, and it was all timing, tactic, and strategy. And I feel like the LA Grand Prix is a great precursor for what you may see at the trials, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was so
100%
time.
Yeah, I was so happy to do it because that's what prepares you for trials. Like, no matter what kind of shape you're in, if you're not doing races like that, you're not going to learn how to navigate through, racing, because the thing is like this, the more races you do and the more tactical, the more times you're running against good runners, you realize like how to navigate through that. Like I tell a lot of like younger runners this, the problem is like when you run with high school kids versus college kids versus pro runners, they just get smarter, they get more aggressive. It's like sometimes, like, if you don't run it right, you'll just get thrown in the back. You get swallowed up. And, it's when you're in that sort of experience, it can be very overwhelming. That's why, for a lot of the college kids, they still can make a team. But if you're not having that experience, it is kind of tough, but I definitely feel like this season will prepare me very well for trials.
Yeah.
So I have real quick, Dave. I'm just, I'm interested in the Grand Prix this week.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're in such a weird position where like you're getting a pissed off Hobbs Kessler because he was running real well before he got spiked. You're getting a pissed off Whiteman who's looking at Josh Turgo, and everyone remember me? You know who I am? Like, Josh is stealing all my thunder here. I was him before him right now. Yeah. And like, here you are. And like, one of the things is, you're coming into this event as a reigning champion. You're the hometown hero coming back and racing this. And one thing that pissed me off is I saw a graphic and it was like notable runners at this thing. And it was like Sid and Noah Lyles and this and that. And I'm like, where's Eric? Where's Hobbs? Where's like the whole like the team was just not there. And it's like, this is nonsense. Like there's a bunch of notable guys and like you're a returning champion against a bunch of guys who are, the big time pros, and you've mixed it up with all of them. You've beaten those guys.
Beaten them, yeah.
It's been such a back and forth. So what are you expecting in this race in the Grand Prix? Are you expecting to see like Hobbs and Jay kind of go out and go after it to try and like show who they are? Are you going to like, what are you expecting in this type of race?
Well, I definitely want to be fast. I honestly, I feel like a runner like Grant Fisher might take it out. It's impossible to say. It's the one thing I've learned about racing. My coach says is, you never know what's going to happen until the gun goes off. So either way, I'm confident. I don't exactly say what will happen, but I know like I'm going to get out fast. So I definitely wanted the standard because I want the confidence. And, I am very confident no matter what happens in the race, whether I lose or win. I know this for a fact. Guys like Kessler and Whiteman can't beat me until 200 meters to go or 100 meters to go, meaning that, even if they beat me, like they're not going to beat me. They're not going to gap me until the very end. And that's one thing I'm very confident about. And I always tell my teammates is like, even if you're going against the world champion, if they beat you, they beat you, but at least get to the very end, Let them beat in the last 200 meters. But I'll tell you one thing, I will give it 100%. I'm not going to, give guys like Kessler or Whiteman the win. I will try my very best.
Oh, yeah.
And try to beat them. And in my mind, I believe I can beat them. I know it's, no one predicts me to win, and I understand why, but it doesn't mean I won't give it everything.
Are you guys getting a wrap for this race? Do you know?
I believe so. I checked, with the meet director. They said there is a rabbit. I said I would like one, is it until 1K? Because that can make a big difference. Because
bring in Eric, bring in Sawinski.
Sawinski, where you at?
That'd be great. That'd be great. He's the best.
I haven't seen him much this year. So,
I haven't seen him either.
Can you kind of explain for our listeners the difference between the New York Grand Prix that you're running this week and the Olympic trials with having rounds, and how that might change your mindset or your approach going in the meet, knowing that you have to qualify for each round rather than just saying it's just one race? Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this type of race, you can kind of go all out. It's like you're going full throttle. You're giving it everything you got. When you get to the trials, you still got to prepare as well as you can for each round. You still got to take it seriously, but it's almost as if it's like you're just trying to win. And then you're not trying to kill it, You're just trying to cruise through the win. I'm in the fitness where I'm pretty confident that I don't have to try super hard to get out of the first round. And if I have to go all out, I will. But it's basically the first round, you should be able to cruise by. Second round, it's going to be an all-out race. And then basically the third race, the finals, is obviously another all-out. But the difference is especially at trials, you're just always going to predict it to be tactical. And they're not going to be more than likely, I don't know for sure, but New York Grand Prix, it should be a fast race, meaning it should be won in 3:31 or something. I mean, it could be tactical, but I do have a strong feeling everyone there wants to run fast. I talked to a few of the guys at Flagstaff. They said they're going to make it fast, but people say a lot of things. But trials, it's going to be a sitting kick. And honestly, that's why I've been working a lot on my speed. That's why, my coach feels like we got to be in 144 shape to make a team. And that's what I've been working on. And hopefully I can also run that. But when you get into trials, you have 3 races. So that means you have the preliminary, less than 24 hours. You have the second round, and then you get a day off, and then you have the finals. So not only do you have to have a lot of speed, but you got to be in really good shape. Because if you're not doing if you haven't been doing your mileage, if your strength's not that good, you might have to run a really good race, but you might be a little fried by finals. And it's really important for you to be in really good shape so you can survive the rounds. Because if you're not in the best top shape, it can definitely wear on you.
One of the coolest things, I always want to be one of those guys that could run heats and just you get in the race and then just pick it up a little towards the end and know that I made it. How dope is that to be confident enough that you could be one of those guys in the prelims where it's I'll run the race, I'll shake out however it shakes out, last 75, 50, turn it on a little, I know I qualify. That's always got to be a cool feeling, knowing that you're confident enough. Obviously races are races, they happen, but it's just to have that little bit of confidence. I've always watched those races and be that's dope. I want to be that guy that can just run the race and sit there and it's okay, it's going out in 3:40. let me push a little and get the 338 and make sure that I get in. It's like, that's awesome, right? Like, how does it feel being confident enough that you feel like you're in that type of shape?
I mean, yeah, it's funny. It's like it takes a lot of work to get there. You know, a lot of workouts where you're borderline puking and everything. It's like when you get to Eugene, you're like, oh my God, I finally get to, stop training, It's like, but then on top of it, you got the most stressful races of your life. And so you're basically like about to like have an insane kick, but you're like, hold it, are they coming? And it's honestly terrifying because you don't want to get eliminated in the first round. Like, that would be terrible. Your coach would be, terrified. Your parents are here. Everyone
they're going to
I have so many people coming out. So no one expects me to get eliminated. So when you're in the first round, you're confident, but you're also scared. You don't want to get eliminated. So you're right about to have an insane kick, but you're like, hold it. Is the boogeyman coming? Are they coming? Like, you're so terrified. And then when you cross the finish line, you're like, oh, thank God. Now I get to do this all over again tomorrow.
I mean, but again, like the thing is, like, it's just the beauty of being able to be there, right? Like when we were talked to you last, your goals were, I want to make USATFs. I want to make myself known. I want to be in the mix. Yep. And now we are here a year and 4 months-ish later.
I want to make the team.
You're solid. You are solidly in the USATF mix. Yes. You are kind of reached the goal that we talked about over a year ago, and now it's, you before it was like, I think I can make an Olympic team. Now it's like, I expect to make an Olympic team.
Yeah,
I know that I'm good enough, and it's just seeing your maturity of going from the Monmouth Mile and being really good over there and kind of starting to make your name there to now it's a 351 miler, like 335, like just a guy that has come so far. Now you're someone, and a lot of the Empire Elite guys are people, you guys race a fair amount.
Yeah.
What goes into that strategy of, because, me and Dave have been critical of Coach Kersey and how he didn't run a thing moo, and Cindy McLaughlin a lot last year. Now that's switched this year. Sid's run a good amount. She's had, she's mixed up her distances, but she's run a fair amount of races. But what goes into the thought process of running a lot versus picking your spots? And is that a constant conversation with coach? Like, hey, how are your legs feeling this week? Do you want to go? Do you want to pick? Like, so what is that like between like racing a lot versus, just kind of picking your spots?
Yeah, actually, we've been racing a little less this year. Yeah. And I think that's to do with a bit of the coaching change. But I definitely believe in racing, especially maybe more for like the 8 and 15, because certain events are, there's no strategy when it comes to like events like the 400 hurdles, and shorter events. You just get out as hard as you can and keep on going, more or less. But I definitely
I'd love to hear a 400 meter hurdle or respond to that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, all right. Yeah, I should maybe not, but let me rephrase that.
There is no strategy to your race.
The 100 and the 200 and the 4.
Yeah, I guess that's wrong. I shouldn't technically say that, but what I meant is like,
we got you.
More in our events, like a 15 could go out in a snail pace. We could go out in like 440 pace. That's a possibility. There is a million possibilities that could happen. And also, like, and even if it is a fast race, it's so important not to get, ring rust, or you don't want to, like, you want to race a lot, because the more you race, especially high quality races, helps you deal with the nerves. Like, I would do terrible at trials if I didn't have like the New York Grand Prix, LA Grand Prix, these types of races, because like I'd be so nervous. Yeah. But when you do some high quality races and you get to trials, this is like the magnum opus, but you're like also like you're not as nervous because you're so experienced. You race some big races. I'm about to race guys like Jake Whiteman, and I've already raced a year in the Goose. So when I race these guys,
like 5 steps away from beating Garrett potentially, like you were. If there was 10 minutes on the track, you were coming. You were coming. So it's like that has to boost your confidence a ton. Like I can run with all these guys. Like I'm not an outsider here. I am someone that when I toe the line, they're looking at me, not going, "What's he doing here?" They're going, shit, Eric's here. I gotta go.
Eric Holt's here, yep. And I feel like the more races that you run, it gets you, like you said, it gets you prepared for all different kinds of races. Because every race is different 100%. In its own right.
Now, does Coach Troutman let you kind of decide your level of races and how much you want to do volume wise, or is it kind of something that he kind of schedules for you? How much is there? Because there's obviously some give and take on both sides, right? The athlete, that's a difference with track and field. There is a constant communication, but is there like an alignment in philosophy with you and coach, or has there been some push and pull?
That's a good question. Sort of both, I would say. We talked about it. We knew we needed to break 146.3, the Olympic trial qualifier in the 800. That's why I ran the 8 at the Music City Festival. And I also was in good 800 shape at the time, so I knew I could definitely do it. And we knew we wanted to run LA Grand Prix and New York Grand Prix. So we kind of had like a few conversations. We knew we wanted to run at least sub 333 this season. So hopefully we do it at New York Grand Prix.
Hell yeah.
And like we knew we wanted to run Penn relays. And a lot of times when I race with my teammates. So we kind of all have the same sort of schedule. But it's like basically we just wanted to run the biggest races, in America. So because right now we don't have the budget to go to Europe. So, that's been the plan. And we want to have a good solid amount of races to prepare us for trials, because we know it's, if you're not racing against a lot of good runners, you might not have the best experience, best confidence, and you won't be as prepared for trials. But I like, other than I did run like Princeton, but like other than that race, every race I would say this season was very high quality.
Yeah. So you mentioned racing here in the United States. Bobby Kersey came out recently and tried to answer some questions, because people were like, why doesn't Sid or a thing go over to Europe? And he said, I train United States athletes. There's no reason why they should not be able to race here in the States. Do you see that we're starting to get better meets here in the States where athletes can stay and not have to spend all their time over in Europe? Or do you think there's still a damage? Or do you feel like there's still some sort of distinct advantage to going over there and running against there? Because we feel that if we get top-notch races here, that a lot of the Europeans will come over here to race us. But to me, it has to do with prize money and all that stuff. So do you feel that we are on our way to making that more of a possibility where the top athletes can stay here, or will Europe always be calling for bigger money and things like that?
And if we want to see the clip, I don't know, Eric, if you saw the clip or not with Coach Kersey.
I have not.
Yeah, if we want to just see it real quick, the beauty of what we could do now. Isn't this great? Wow. Eric, aren't we so much better than we were last time? We're so much more prepared. So here's a quick clip of Coach Kersey. It's a minute 28, but I'm not going to play it all.
I'm curious how you make the decision about how often they run and the different places that they run throughout the season.
Well, I mean, first it's based on health, and then it's just based on performance in terms of what's needed, and then also just trying to. And I like. With all due respect to Europe, I mean, I like America. I like to race at home as much as possible. I get criticized for not going to Europe, but, I coach United States athletes to put them on, teams.
So that's kind of the gist of, what Coach Kersey was saying there. So any response to that, Eric, of, what he said? And do you share that philosophy of, if we can get more guys or more people like Sid and the thing and some of our top athletes to stay home, would we really need to go to Europe?
That's a very great point. I'm not 100% well versed on that. I will say America is getting better.
Yes.
We're starting to have very solid times within our country. For the longest time, the best times were coming out of the NCAAs.
Yep.
And we're starting to get more fans of the sport. I think the biggest deal is having venues and meets in America where we can pack the stands. Because Europe, to be fair, they like the sport a little more. They have easier times packing stands. And we're starting to get more attention to our sport. And, I'm so appreciative of what you guys do because I know you guys are fans of the sport. Yes, and I think track and field is one of the greatest sports. It's so accessible. Like some sports, you need a lot of money or you kind of buy your way in or you can't really see who the best athlete is. There's a lot of nepotism, a lot of choosing. But in our sport, it's all about hard work, having grit, just chasing it. It's pretty accessible. And I do think track and field is growing within the States. I love the media coverage. And, we're starting to, I remember when I first joined Empire in 2020, I remember people saying, if you want to run fast, you have to go to Europe. Yep. But I definitely feel like I can hit all my marks within the States. And I think there needs to run world-class times. You can do it in the States. I do think I have not yet been to Europe, but from what I heard, Europe is like the energy is electric because they get a bit more fans and all the stadiums are packed. So, but I do think it's getting better in the States, and I do think I'm telling you, there's some great meets out there, and I love the New York Grand Prix, LA Grand Prix because it's very electric, and I'm so grateful and honored to race a race back in my home state where it's a gold level meet and I get all the best runners in the world in it. So I'm excited and I'm very grateful for that. And I do think our sport is growing. And I will say one thing. These high school kids are insane. Like every year, it's ridiculous. They're just being faster and faster.
We talked about this last time. Is how crazy it is.
Drew Griffiths just dropped.
I know when I was a kid, the kids were faster. They're faster now.
Man, so I'm going to throw right in here. If anyone wants to find the Grand Prix, here's the website over here. Now it's going to be held at one of the rare places that we have in America that is a track and field only venue over on Randall's Island on the Icon Stadium in the city. It's this Sunday. If anyone wants to go see it, go. There's tickets, all ages, $20 for the, I don't know what the actual stuff means, silver, gold, platinum, but $20. $20 to go see some of the best athletes in the world compete. That ain't bad. It's gold, adult 40. You're looking at these tickets, even platinum. You want to go to a Jets game. You want to go to a Yankees game. That platinum price is awesome. You would kill to have a $70 ticket to a Yankees game or something like that. So go there. If you want to watch it, it'll be on Peacock from 1 to 3:30 Eastern, NBC 2 to 3:30, and then it'll be on Sunday, June 9th. So you'll get more access.
It's on free TV, guys.
But it's on free TV.
Behind a paywall. It's on free TV.
So go give it a watch. If you're in the New York City area, you have nothing to do this Sunday, you're a track fan, go. Because you're going to see Eric defend his title. You're going to see him defeat some of the best runners on the planet right now and set himself up to absolutely be one of the top dogs in the USATF there. So,
and the more fans in the stands means the more money that the athletes can get. So get your asses there. Get your asses there.
Get these promoters
appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Get these promoters to want to give these athletes prize money. Let them make money at the gate.
Standing room only. Let's go. Standing room only.
And go find the Empire Elite stand and buy their shirts because that's an awesome shirt. That is a great
Thank you. Thank you.
Say hi to Eric. He's a nice guy.
Yes.
He's absolutely. If anyone wants to talk to me, I'm always open to talk.
Give him a Sharpie. Tell him to sign something. Go kiss some babies, Eric. But
I want to ask something because it seems like the World Athletics came out with this new World Athletics Ultimate Championship. Have you heard about that? I guess it's every other year. Where they're really,
I think so, but
they're really upping up the prize money. I think it's every other World Championships. It's going to be almost like it says here. They're going to go with a $10 million prize pool with $150,000 to the gold medalist.
Wow. I mean,
the first one is in 2026. So I think it's obviously, I'm not sure how they do it, but it's not going to be 2028 because that's the Olympics. But I think it's every other world champs where they're going to really try to work on jacking up the prize money for you guys. So all good things. I really think that we are really, really growing. We just got to get more on TV where people can flick through the channel and just find it and not have to search for it. But I mean,
for me with that,
having that money is awesome.
One thing for me with that's smart though, right? Because I know we've heard some like complaints about all these back-to-back Worlds, Olympics, everything like that. But having a championship every year, where do the eyes go? Where do we get the best viewership? Is at these championship events, at the Olympics, at Worlds. And yes, some athletes may miss because they might take an off year and things like that. But it gives people like yourself, Eric, who maybe doesn't have the big sponsors deal, like if you crack Worlds 2 years in a row, Olympics, and then you get back into Worlds the next year, how the hell aren't you sponsored? Even if you're not like, just making a finalist or making a team, it's like there gives you guys better leverage, right? Because now you can go with your resume and say, hey, I was a USATF finalist. I qualified for the Olympics. Yes, I didn't make the Olympic finals, but I got past the prelims. I qualified for the Worlds team as well. What are we doing here? And it just gives you guys more leverage, the more opportunities to run fast. And I just think it's great. Yeah, I think the ultimate championship is in like Saudi Arabia or something.
It's going to be...
I know one of them is in Saudi Arabia.
Budapest.
Okay. But yeah, I just think it's good. What do you think about having championship races, world level championship races every year, basically?
I'm all for it. It gives us something to look forward to. Making an Olympic or world team has been a dream of mine. And I told myself I'll make at least one for sure in my career.
Hell
and
yeah.
I think I'll be an Olympian hopefully this year.
But
I'm confident I have a really good shot.
You're going to make 2 this year in the 15 and the 8. So.
I mean, if I make both, I'll do it. I will have to look at Olympic schedule, but I think you can do both. So that'd be insane. That'd be like more than a dream come true. I'll be excited to do that. But, I think what is great, especially about this sport, and, I tell everyone, I don't care, like, if people say, I'm 29 now or whatnot. I just always find ways to get better. If someone beats me in a sprint, I'm like, oh, Eric, I have more foot speed than you. I always tell them or tell myself, you have more foot speed than me for now,
Right. Yep.
It's just
in this race, but not overall.
Yeah. That's what's great about the sport. And, I feel like I'm getting better and I'm starting to peak at the right time. And I'm hopefully going to have this success when I can make these types of meets and hopefully earn potentially this type of money. We'll see. But it's exciting.
That's like Noah Lyle said when Oblique beat him. Like, what I tell you when I lose? When I lose, it don't happen again. I'm coming back. But I love that. That's
listen.
So like, you beat me, I'm back, baby.
So as a pro runner, fans, we get really geeked out about the Olympics. Is there a difference in the athlete's mind frame about the Olympics versus world champs? Do the Olympics have more cachet, or is a world championship just as important to the athlete who's actually going through, who's competing, not from us as fans? We see the Olympics maybe because it's every 4 years, we put it higher, but it's got to be just as cool being in a world championship than it as the
unfortunately, I haven't been in either, but I will say on Olympic years, it's kind of, I was talking to my friend about this earlier, you'll see runners that, were really good in 2021, which was an Olympic year, then sucked in 2022, sucked in 2023, and now suddenly are good again in 2024. It's like, geez, all these runners kind of stunk the last couple of years, and then now it's the Olympic year. People just step up, So I do think most runners on Olympic years, they're willing to do the altitude camps. They're willing to push themselves a little bit more. And I do think it is like, for instance, like the last year, it took like a 3:39 to make USAs. And it's looking like it's going to take a 3:37 low to make the trial.
Yeah, it's massive.
So, it is crazy. It's definitely way more competitive on Olympic years, and then I remember when I first made trials in 2021. I will say, like, the atmosphere at USA's is totally different on Olympic year. It's just way more intense. There's way more people at Hayward Field. It's just an Olympic year. It's just like it's something different. People are just like. Just a little sharper, a little better.
Yeah.
I'll say this. So just some quick strategy for USATF, so you don't have to take it. Coach Troutman's going to be like, don't listen to him. But if you're getting closer to the end of the race and Matt Centrowitz is at your shoulder, run faster. Because that means that he's getting ready to make a move. So if Centro is there, that means that something in the race is going his way. Just go faster and gap that man, because you need to. Because that might be the only advice that I give. If Matt Centrowitz is there late in the race, it's like, well, shit, he feels something. I have to run faster so he does not catch me.
I will say I do think he'll make finals, and I agree. Absolutely. He will be a factor. So 100%.
So 235 shape, you're going to be a factor. 100%.
So here's the thing. So most distance runners that we have talked to are soft-spoken and super nice. I personally can't get enough of the Kerr versus Ingebrigtsen trash talk. I think it's cool. Like, is that something that other athletes talk about? Like, oh, like they're going at it, and how do you, like? Because to me, it's good for the sport. It might, it's bringing attention. So, sometimes not everything is positive, but I kind of like it because it's something that you would not normally see out of that event. You most likely see it out of like sprinters. What do you think about it, or does it have any impact at all? Do you think that it matters, or that it's just for entertainment?
I will say, personally, a lot of distance runners, especially during the race, there's a lot of runners that don't like each other. I know I've had a feud with runners elbowing me. I felt like playing a little dirty. And so, like, there is, like, a little bit of beef between some runners.
Name names. Let's go.
No, I'm not going to name names, but I will say I know at trials there's a few guys out there that, I'm always telling my teammates, I'm like, I'll have them elbow me a little bit. But, like, it's tough because, like, since I'm a little bigger guy, I don't want to do something to get DQ'd because I might be a little stronger. But it is kind of crazy. Sometimes I'm like, does this runner not like me? Because every time I'm near him, he goes out of my way to elbow me. Like, I remember this guy was going to lane 2 or 3 to elbow me. And I was like, dude, what is going on? And like every time I talk to him, I can tell there's a bit of animosity. But, there's definitely beefs out there. I think a lot of runners, especially ones that are sponsored or runners like me trying to be sponsored, we try to not show that to the world because we're always trying to be a walking advertisement. Personally, I don't have any animosity toward other runners, but I know some runners, I believe, don't really like me too much.
And then you have Yared Nuguse, who's a little nice guy. And he'll be on that stage as like Josh and Jakob are like talking shit to each other. And then Yared is just like, I hope we have a great race, guys. Like, I just want to give a shout out right here to Darren Peters leaving us 2 comments. This is a question for you, Eric. Have you taken advantage of being a pro runner, 10-5 athlete, by voting on the locations of next year's USATF championships?
Oh, I have not, but I'll definitely vote on that because
get in touch with Darren.
I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind the championship being somewhere other than Eugene for a change.
We want everyone else.
We should maybe hook you up with Matt Ludwig, who we had on here. He's a pole vaulter, and he goes to the meetings, the USATF meetings, and he encourages athletes to go there. And I think if we can get a bigger contingency there, and that's his opinion, there could be some changes. And then Darren came back with another one saying, love the trash talk. So we got a fan of trash talk. We need more of it here. So Darren, thank you so much for the comments. We appreciate it. Thank you for the information. But yeah, Darren, he's an awesome dude. He comments and he has an affiliation some way with USATF. So he would be a good source if we can get you guys potentially together to talk about how you can go and potentially vote there. Because as a pro, you have a say in what goes on there. So
I know a lot of the athletes are getting, not that they all say Hayward Field's gorgeous, it's beautiful, but it's a pain in the ass to get to, and it's so expensive to stay out there. So
God. It's so expensive. I do think I would love, there's a lot of venues that I think would be great for hosting a USA Championship. I just think the problem with Eugene, it's kind of in the middle of the nowhere. It's hard to get to. It's not, it has, the thing is, it's just I think we've made it like a mecca of track and field.
We did.
And so everyone feels obligated to have it for every championship. But I will say, like, going to like the LA Grand Prix and competing at UCLA was amazing. Like your hotel right next to the track, like a bunch of food places within walking distance.
That's awesome.
You know, just being in like a great city. I do think, and also I feel like for the sport, it would be nice to have it near a big city where we could completely fill it to the brim, you know?
Or like I live in New Jersey. I can't afford to fly out to Eugene. That's a dream of mine to go U.S. Nationals or to go to the Olympics 20. But like, it's always so far, you know?
I always wonder when we have some guests on, it's like, are you guys going to be out at Nationals? Like the hell we are. We're just two guys on a podcast. We're not making it out there.
You know, but And when did New Mexico become the mecca of indoor track? Why is it there?
Oh my God! Why? I think it should be illegal to have a championship at altitude. Okay, listen, and this is the truth. Everyone adapts to altitude differently. Like, we do workouts at altitude, and I'll have teammates that do way better than me workouts, not necessarily because they're in better shape, but because they acclimate better to altitude.
But also,
why are we having a championship at altitude? Like,
but in reality, too, what if a black athlete has sickle cell, and now you're asking them to go to altitude and compete? That's a huge deal. That you know they can't compete. We've had pro football players that can't go to Denver and compete against Broncos. Ryan Clark is a famous one, so that's just not being considerate of a big chunk of your athletes. A huge proportion. Someone potentially can't compete if they have an issue. A genetic.
Someone did say that it's in New Mexico because they have the best facility for the weight throw or something. Like I forget exactly who it was.
You can't tell me a Big Ten or SEC school does not have a fantastic facility that equals or is better than New Mexico.
Not only that, like there's a lot of indoor tracks. It's not like we are limited in that. You know, like there's plenty of places. Yeah, you could have it at the Armory. You could have it at Staten Island. You could have it.
The New Balance. The New Balance when they just go.
I'll say it again, and I'm 100% serious. It should be wrong and almost like illegal to have NCAAs, indoor USATF at altitude. Like for certain athletes like me, you know, when I get at altitude, I for some reason I'm prone to altitude sickness, so I feel nauseous, and it's like annoying because I feel sick. And now I have a very important meet, and I felt like I did terrible in the 15 because it's like, because I feel sick. Even when I was training, the whole 5 weeks, I felt nauseous. It's just like, why are we having a meet where the environment is not suitable for all athletes? And there's so many great venues.
Yeah. You know? And I think one thing, if we want to solve the venue of like, we always talk about on the show, like having just track only venues, right? And it's tough. Why am I going to build a potentially $1 billion thing, hundreds of $1 million, if there's no promise there? So what needs to be done is if I'm an investor and I'm looking to do this, I need to have a guaranteed platinum meet there, and I need to have guaranteed USATF for a certain number of years. And I feel like if you can get the championships guaranteed there for maybe it's like a 5-year contract, and you could sit there and guarantee that I get a platinum level meet for at least a few years, see if I can sustain it, right? Then someone would be willing to build it. There needs to be promises. No one's just going to go out and build this gorgeous venue, and it's like, let me go host a silver level continental or whatever it is, like, and not have the eyes, not have the TV deal, and then lose out to Hayward every year for the USATFs. Like, I feel like there needs to be USATF needs to give people incentive, right? World Athletics needs to give people incentive to build these, and that also comes with Nike, with Puma, with New Balance, with Hoka, with all these companies. Like, hey, we'll jump in, we'll sponsor, we'll get Peacock, and now on board. Like, there needs to be a better process. And I think what we've seen over the past, since honestly, Dave, since we started the show, and we have nothing to do with this, but we have seen a huge spike in interest.
Oh yeah,
just from us having the show. Like, just from what we've seen, there's so many more athletes. There's so much more excitement. Twitter's been massive for it. Xib's been great. Citius Mag has been fantastic. And it's like there's been a lot of good buzz, and I feel like we just need to capitalize on it. And I think that there's just so many good ideas going around out there. And, Michael Johnson's doing a great thing trying to get that league going.
Well, that's great. Fantastic. That's like the best thing for track.
Oh, it's just so good. Him and then hiring Kyle Merber to go with him.
And we have our former guest, Kirk Berris, trying to make the Track Star League. It's very ambitious, but I mean, if he can get that going, that'll be great as well. If we have 2 domestic leagues that are duking it out, no one will have to leave, and there could be money involved here. So I think there's a lot going in the right direction. So, Eric, we asked you this question last time. I'm going to ask you again. Is there anything different in mind that you have that we talked about a bunch of stuff? How could we improve the sport besides not having championship indoor meets at altitude?
I always say that I think the sport is, beautiful. I think this, I'm pretty sure I heard the statistic that track is the most participated sport in high school.
Easily.
Track is just one sport that everyone can understand, and it breaks my heart to see horse racing, to see NASCAR bigger than our sport. Because I personally think track is way more entertaining than those sports. I know people disagree with me, but I feel like the way this sport is going to prosper is if it can just be seen more. And, I don't know if it's a great idea for things like Flow Track to earn the rights to all the diamond leagues.
We talked about that.
Especially with a huge paywall. It's too expensive.
Yep.
The sport needs to be seen by the masses, and I think it is important. It's great to have athletes like Singman McLaughlin and other ones to be so big, everyone knows who they are. So I think the best way is to have our stars be shown. And, there's a lot of track athletes that hate each other. So if you want some more beef, I feel like we can show it. But I think a lot of the individuals are so paranoid and scared because we don't want sponsors to drop us. So sometimes it's hard for us to really be ourselves because we have to be so professional all the time.
Yeah.
So I would just say have the sport show the athlete's personality and show everyone what can happen post college, because I think what happens is our sport is so big in high school and college right now, and I think it gets a little not as seen much outside of that. So I would say pro leagues being set up and allowing the pros just to be seen more by the masses, and then for the sport getting more attention. But I do see some positive things in our sport, for instance, all these high school national meets. I just feel like right now there's so many high school kids that are willing to dedicate a big portion of their life to this sport, and that's very inspiring to see. So I just hope there's, like I said, a few things I get nervous. I think this is the one thing I think that needs to be changed is just allowing our meets to be seen by the masses for as little to no money.
The Nashville meet. The Nashville meet's a good example. You run a great race, and I try to follow, all of our guests. I try to figure out where you guys are. I had no idea there was a meet at Nashville this weekend. Yeah. It was not televised, and if it was, I have no idea where the hell it was. And it was embarrassing. You're like,
I ran on YouTube, maybe.
You're like, I ran a great PR in the 8, and I'm like, wait, you raced? What the hell? I knew you had the Grand Prix coming up. I knew trials, but it's in that, I felt shitty because I'm a fan of yours, and I'm like, I wish that I had a better way of finding these races. I should know where, okay, maybe I wouldn't know that you're there, but Nashville's having a pro race.
Most fans would just give up. They'd be like, I can't, I'm not going to spend 25 minutes looking for it.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think there needs to be a way where we can showcase all the best meets under one umbrella. How that happens, I'm not sure, but we need to have more accessibility to our sport. And I'm scared that, companies like Flow Track will make the sport too expensive to watch, because that will ultimately hinder and hurt our sport more than anything else.
I did see how USATF is coming out with their own YouTube page where they want to put meets on. So that'll help. I mean, even if it's on YouTube, everybody knows how to use YouTube now. So that's fine.
Yeah, as long as they advertise it. They don't advertise
now,
it. They barely as long as they advertise it.
Do you think that, obviously we're talking about high school track, college track. I think a big reason why they are still very, very popular is the team aspect. People root for teams. People root for uniforms. So if one of these leagues can maybe build like a Northeast team or like
that's
different
what
regions.
Trackstar League is trying to do. They're trying to have 7 different teams, 6 of them being regional, 1 of them being unattached.
Like just have a regional, because then people like I'm a New York Giants fan. They suck, but I still root for them.
Yeah,
because they're from my area. So like people root for their area. So even if you had athletes who were somewhat affiliated with that area, whether they went to high school there or they went to college there, or they have a draft. How cool would a draft be?
Oh my God. If they have a draft, I better be in that. That'd be so fun. I don't even care if I get selected. That's just the coolest thing. I mean, that would be perfect for a sport. I think it's just like...
It'd be like a fantasy football. Like you got certain events that you have to fill out, and like it'd be great.
Like I've always said, how can the most participated sport in America not be like this small? Like this sport, I feel like has potential. 100%. I just think it's just a way it's going to be advertised, and I think if the sport can get bigger, it's going to help everyone. It'll just bring more attention, money, and everything. I also think like I mentioned this before, but like you see like in basketball, like everyone knows like what Kobe's or LeBron's are. I do think that the best athletes should have their own brand of shoes.
We talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this
last week, maybe last week.
Shoes are everything in this sport. They freaking. I'm like, I need the new Dragonflies. I need the new Victory.
Noah Lyles, right? I need
I need the Noah Lyles. Like, absolutely.
But here's the one issue that I have with that is from year to year with track, you don't know who's going to be good in a sense. Like, look at Marcel Jacobs won the Olympics. Who wants his shoes now? I'm nothing against him. He ran well last week. He's come back, but it's like it's so different every single year that it's hard to say.
Generational.
But you don't know Lyles is going to be good. Sidney's going to be good. So like people like that, like you're like Jordan's, of the sport. Like Jordan's shoes still sell more than any other shoe, and he hasn't played basketball in 25 years.
That's true. I like if Usain Bolt came out with a shoe, like how does Usain Bolt not have a spike? Like. If Usain Bolt had a spike, every high schooler would want it.
So would Steve Prefontaine.
Sell a Usain Bolt shoe. Like, it's not rocket science.
even if they came out with a Prefontaine shoe, now kids would still get it.
Yeah, and instead we're calling them Dragonfly. Like, why? Like,
call the Prefontaines.
Yeah, like I just don't understand why they haven't like thought of that. Like, it's so common.
I want the Grant Fishers. I want the American record Grant Fishers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if
I want the Holt bolts. I want the Holt bolts. That's what I want.
Hey, I would love it. Hey, and you see all these like people wearing super shoes. Yeah. All the time. Brandon. I see like average shows wearing Alpha Flies. Mm-hmm. Like if you just like call them Kipchoge's, like now people know who he is.
In the school where I work, I'd say most adults and barely any of them know anything about track. They all wear Hokas, they all wear Ons because they're comfortable shoes. And so the fact that they are starting to branch out and sell to people that know nothing about track can only help,
Yeah, it's wild.
To me, the best way to make this sport more popular is to sponsor the Empire Elite Track Club.
Hell yeah.
That is the way.
So, and honestly, I want Empire to be sponsored because I'm sick of my coach. My coach is losing money because of this sport. He's not making money. He's losing money, and he's so passionate, and it would make me the happiest person in the world if Empire could be sponsored, because I want Coach Trauman to be coaching for many more years. I think he's one of the best coaches in the world. I really do. If we get money and sponsors and we bring in more people, we're going to have one of the best clubs out there. And, Trauman, he's so passionate. He's so knowledgeable. I mean, this guy is so knowledgeable. I mean, you guys got to have him on this podcast.
We certainly do.
He's great. But he's, like I said, it would be a dream of mine. Like, honestly, I'd rather have the club be sponsored and my coach getting paid a little money so he can be doing this for years to come. And
Something like that though is so selfless on your end. Like you would rather your team and coach get the money than yourself, because that would mean more and it would help build the actual brand, and it would lead to much longer team success than if just you got sponsored.
Absolutely. You know, I started this sport, you know, I felt like we were in the ashes, and you know, I just think this, like, it's kind of crazy because myself, Hasem, Ben, we were nobodies in college. Neither any of us were good. Like Ben Allen, Hasem Miawad. Hasem was a New Jersey runner. He only ran 152 in college, and now he just ran 146 low. Ben Allen only ran 408 and like 151, and now he runs 146 low and 352 in the mile. You know, I never broke 4 in college, and now I run 351. Never broke 150. Now I run 145. Like, the reason we have this success is we have a coach that is so passionate about the sport. He doesn't care if he makes money. He just wants to see us do really well. And, you know, a guy like that is like, that's why I'm in this sport. That's why I love this. I'm like, this guy is so selfless. You know, he's willing to do what it takes, and he wants us to make the Olympics. He wants us to have success. And that's why I would love this club to have a sponsor, because I think if we did, you know, we would get even better recruits from college, and I think this would be an insane team. I think we can be better than any club in America, and I really do that. I think we could be competitive with On.
I love it. I also feel like there's so many rabid track fans in the Northeast area that people would get behind you guys if you were out there more and you had money and you could, you know, advertise and show, like, people would get behind you guys. Hey, there's Eric Holt from Empire, or there's, you know, Al, like there's all these guys, like, just getting that extra boost and that extra notoriety. People would go behind you guys. I mean, I talk to everyone now, like Eric Holt. They're like, he's one of my favorite guys. Yeah, everything he has.
You're known in the Northeast, man. Like, you are well known.
You are a bulldog, and people love you.
And I'm in Poughkeepsie, so you're like one of our hometown guys over in being
awesome.
So
yeah,
like we all know who you are over here.
I appreciate that. And also, like, Empire is in New York City. New York City is the biggest city in America.
So here's a quick question. Where can people get Empire Elite apparel? Just in case they want to go and support, say, like, you know, right now you don't have a sponsor, but how can we support you guys by, you know, maybe buying some stuff, because that's a sweet shirt. Where can we go to try and get some apparel? You know, let me know. I'll try and type up the link on the screen here so people can go, because, you know, that's something that I think would be big for you guys. If, you know, maybe small money things can maybe get you guys, even if it pays for, like, hey, people go buy shirts, that gets you guys maybe a hotel, or maybe helps cover one.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I know we're doing a photo shoot tomorrow and selling more stuff, so stay tuned. But if you just go on Empire Elite Track Club, you can see that we have Empire hoodies, gear. We got a lot of things to sell. You can go on our Instagram, Empire Elite. You know, we do, like, Hasem is actually the one that does our Instagram. He does an unbelievable job. Make sure to check us out on Instagram. You know, just making sure following us, you know, supporting us. But yeah, definitely, if you want, buy our gear. We have unbelievable gear. You can just go on EmpireElite.com or go on our Instagram, either or. It will definitely show you where to help support us, because, like I said, we're definitely not making any money. You know, it's quite the opposite.
The fact that a person who was third at Penn, ran 351, has to buy his own freaking shoes just pisses me off.
Here's the thing, everyone, listen up.
It just pisses me off. I'm like, what do we, like, name any other sport where that is even remotely
so I'll say this: any high school kids
practice squad doesn't have to worry about that.
Any high school kids that are watching right now, work your ass off, try and be a pro, but understand the grind that it takes. And if you want to make sure that you're not in this position when you become a pro, start spreading the word. Start working now for our pros now, because it's something where it's going to take you guys, along with all the fans in the grassroots level, to make this change. Eric's doing his job. Eric's running 145. He's running 351. He's doing his part. He's going to get the qualifier being 333 this week. Like, he's doing his part. Now it takes the fans to push these individuals over the edge. If you like Eric Holt, and I know if you're from the Northeast, you've at least heard the name. Go buy his apparel. Go share his videos. Go make things of his go viral. It's the only way, because we have to make these athletes more attractive for the sponsors, because if they look and they say, hey, every time Eric Holt puts out the video, there's 10,000 likes. There's, X thousand views. We want our label to be on Eric every time he puts out a video on YouTube. That is the way that we are going to sit there and make it. Like, me and Dave, we're trying to do our part with the podcast, but we can only do so much. And I know that there's high school kids that watch this, and their goal is to be where you're sitting, Eric. But I want them to get to where you're sitting while also sitting on a fat $250,000 that is in their bank account, so they don't have to worry about anything, right? And that's the goal here. And it might not happen for Eric, but Eric is doing his best to help change this sport like we are, right, so that the kids in high school and in middle school now that are trying to be where you are is not going to have to struggle the way you do. So,
and that's what Eric wants. Eric wants that better future for everyone.
Absolutely. I would love that. There's nothing more that inspires me when I see young kids that want to be good at the sport. And, I know I'll definitely be a coach later in my life. And
I was just going to ask that.
It's kind of crazy because I will say this, I learned more about running in the last year or two than in the rest of my career, but
where do you guys work out? Where do you do your track workouts?
We do it at a private high school called Masters. So two of our athletes work there as coaches. Therefore, we have permission to use their track.
Okay.
And it's in Dobbs Ferry, New York, which is Upper Westchester, around 20-30 minutes outside of Van Cortlandt or, the Bronx.
Yep. Would you guys and Coach Troutman be willing to do meet and greets at your workouts?
Absolutely. Everyone's welcome.
That is something that I think we need to promote. I think you should be putting out your workout schedules. Like, hey, X and X is going to be here. And even if you take it, because we mention Clayton all the time on the show, but Clayton Murphy goes to different tracks right after kids at practice and is like, hey, can you do a 226? Can you rabbit me through this? And it's and he gets kids involved. And I feel like that's another way. If our pros would sit there and, obviously maybe call the coach beforehand and be like, hey, a few of our pros want to come and do a hard workout. If any of your athletes want to stay and meet us, we'll be happy to sign. They can watch us do a workout. We can maybe get some of them involved. But I feel like that's another way, it's an extra step that maybe you shouldn't have to take that step. But it's something where, if you meet the person and if they get Eric Holt signed my spikes,
that is a fan for life.
Figure out where Eric Holt is racing for the rest of my, at least the next year. You know what I mean? Things fade, but you'll get fans that way. And I feel like as long as Coach Troutman is obviously, he knows what he's doing.
Always ask Coach first. Always ask Coach.
Absolutely,
things. But I just feel like we need to be, and track people are some of the most excluded people. We don't want anyone to know what we're doing for the most part. We're very much like that. But I feel like we need to get outside the box here, because the more younger casual fans you can get, and it's even if it's that track kid is oh shit, Eric's going to be at our school this week. Hey, dude, I know you're not on the team, but you want to meet a pro athlete? Hang out after school. Come, after practice, come see here, and you'll get some non-track kids watching you be a freak of nature. And it's whoa. He just ran what our 200 guy runs at a meet, and he's doing 800 meters. You know what I mean? Those things are big. And as long as coach would be cool with it, I feel like more open houses and more just we'll sign things for you. We are pros. You will see us being successful. I feel like that can only help.
Absolutely. No, I agree with everything you said.
So that's my soapbox. And now Coach Troutman's listening to this going, Alex, shut up. We're not doing that. But overall, Eric's always a good time having you on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me on. You guys definitely should contact John Troutman. He would be a great guest.
Give us a hookup. We'll talk later. We're going to have you give us
if I recall, he went to Monroe Woodbury, right, for high school?
Yes, he did. He went to Monroe Woodbury. He ran 8:05,
too, right?
which was a high school record.
Yeah.
And then he went to Georgetown. He set a world record in the DMR. And more importantly, he made Olympics in '92, winning the Olympic trials in the 5K.
Yeah,
he was a very legitimate runner. He trained very unorthodox. And he also ran 4:12 in the mile, which at the time was a master's record, I think at 48 years old. I could be wrong.
Wow.
412 and 48.
And most important, crazy enough, I think when he was like 45, he weighed 230 pounds at only 5'8". So he let himself go and didn't like his body anymore. So he managed to lose all that weight and run 412 in a month. So
there is hope for us, Dave.
There's hope for us. Thank you, John.
You're not completely washed up.
I will say he did that because he's like he's the most insane runner ever. Like he can just push himself harder than anyone else. And the problem is he sometimes thinks everyone can, but he's great. He's like, when it comes to making training, no one's better than Trotman. He's a master at making workouts.
No, he's certainly a local Northeast legend, but a national legend too. And I mean, look at what he's doing with you guys. Like you said, he's taken a chance on guys that most people wouldn't have. Like you said, you didn't break 4, you didn't break 150.
There's no reason why a guy like John Trotman doesn't have a team that's sponsored too. Like, what are we doing, people? He's a marketer. Just do like a commercial of him winning the 5K if you're a sponsor, and boom, this is the coach of these guys, and now look what they're doing on the national scene. Like, it is written for itself. But
there's a reason why Empire shouldn't be like on, because he's a Dathan Ritson type of runner for his time.
Yeah, certainly.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, Dave, anything else before we get out of here?
This is awesome. I mean, anytime that we get to talk to someone, like a lot of our guests who are absolute studs, who were in the Olympics or anything, like they're usually long retired. It's just wonderful to talk to someone who's still in it, who's going for the U.S. trials later on this month. Nothing but the absolute best. We root hard for you. Mm-hmm. Like if something goes wrong in a race you're in, like I feel it. I feel it.
Hurts us. Yeah.
But I mean, we haven't had to have that happen much lately because, you've been just doing well and you're so consistent and the absolute best. And we are rooting for you big time.
100%.
Gotcha. And also, if you want to watch my 145 race, it's on my Instagram. I got the video out. But yeah, you can always check me out on Instagram. And also just any sort of likes or attention that they just can get my numbers up, and to show that I'm more advertisement friendly is great for me. But thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
And guys, this Sunday, New York Grand Prix, watch Eric Holt, the 3:33 qualifier.
And for the record, Eric Holt was our absolute first pro athlete that we ever had on this show. So we are 100% privileged that he's even willing to jump back on with us. And we are
grateful. Did we count Mike Rutt? I guess he was retired at that point, right?
But our active pro. Yeah, he was retired at the time. He was our first ever active pro. Mike was obviously the stud of a pro. But he's our first ever active pro. And it's just, a privilege that, one of the goals that we had when we started this show was to have pros on. And it's just an absolute privilege that you jumped on and you're still willing to jump on. And we take all the credit for all your success, because the Talking in Ovals, come on our show, you'll do great things.
No. It's like 50% John Trotman, like 50 per.
Yeah, there you go.
What is it from Anchorman, Sex Panther? We work 60% of the time, every time.
I'd go 100% John Trotman. No, 50% John Trotman, 50% Eric Holt.
Yeah, there you go. Well, either way, I would love to be on again. Especially when I make the Olympics. You guys make sure to get me booked again.
When you qualify after USATFs, we will have, we'll let you kind of do your thing. Not too long before the Olympics, we'll kind of figure out when you're flying out, right? Because I'm not going to bug you when you go over there. But we want to get you like almost right before you fly out to get you as close to a mindset as possible of the game. So not if, when you make it, in either the 15-8 or both, because there is no if here, it's when.
There you go. I love it.
That we are going to have you on. And, it's a privilege to be able to talk to you. Oh, and we got one more. Boom. Darren jumping back in here. Email Dave and Alex the contact info, Eric to make the changes. He will fight to make the sport USA Track and Field. So we'll get an email for you, and we'll forward you any of the information that Darren gives us. So Darren, thank you for being a fan. Thank you for all this. Darren. And thank you for everyone that watched today over at X and over at YouTube. As always, we appreciate everyone that watches there. Follow us. Just go search for Talking in Ovals everywhere you are. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. Subscribe to the show if you are watching on X. Thank you. Give us a follow on us over there and repost this. And absolutely follow Eric on Instagram. You can see it at the bottom there at eHoltTheBolt. And you can follow Empire Elite Track Club at EmpireEliteTrack.club over on Instagram. Order some shirts and go support them everywhere you can. Fight. Honestly, on every single post you see from them, tag a shoe company and go, why aren't they sponsored? That's
absolutely do that. You absolutely do that. Every post. Tag a shoe company and say, why aren't they sponsored yet? And make it a different one every time. If we get enough people that do that, someone's going to sit there and be like, I guess people want them sponsored.
Or just WTF. Like, what are we doing?
Hashtag sponsor Empire Elite. That should be like the hashtag that we get going.
Yep.
But all right. Once again, everybody, we're Talking in Ovals. We appreciate everyone out there that watches and listens to us every single week. We'll be back next week with another exciting guest. And, next time we talk to you in about, a few months, Eric's going to be on his way to Paris. So we're excited for that. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We will talk to everybody later. So long, y'all.